Hey guys, let's talk about the month of November. Now, we need to keep some things in mind as we are entering this month, as this energy is kicking off, okay? The second half of this month is going to be radically different than the first half of the month. There is a lot that is coming up throughout the course of November that really may be testing our faith and our own sense of self-empowerment. I do believe this month of November on an energetic level is going to be perhaps putting us up against some things that may be triggering some of our deepest fears, but also bringing us to a point of being able to overcome and release them, and do so through a process of a newly invigorated or like a reinvigorated sense of faith, trust, and belief in the divine and in ourselves. I feel like this is a month coming up where, as this energy is starting, we may feel as though the world is ending and things are really falling apart. However, we are also likely to witness some like true miracles or some divine intervention or a turnaround that is way bigger and way better than we ever could have imagined or anticipated as this energy is starting. So the first half of the month, you guys, is likely to be very dramatic, very unexpected. There could be a lot of shocks coming, and relationships and finances, our connections, our enmeshments with others, our sense of the material world, what we value. These things could really, really be undergoing some dramatic, fated endings in one way or another. But also, like I said, by the time we get to the end of the month, there is this turnaround that seems to be promoting some type of positive expansion of these very same themes that are being brought to a head in perhaps a more difficult way as we are beginning this energy. So we are going to be, as we go through this month of November, in terms of our astrology, we're going to be breaking the month down week by week. We're going to be looking at the energy in summary for each of these weeks and seeing how they build into each other and what they're ultimately leading towards. Now, I will also say, as we are getting started on this report for the month of November, the full moon, you guys, that we have coming up in the sign of Taurus, when the sun will be in the sign of Scorpio, when they come to their exact opposition, this is going to be huge. This is happening within an exact to the degree conjunction to the planet Uranus. It's also happening in a square to Saturn. This full moon is going to be massive, okay? It doesn't matter across the board. Everybody is likely to be experiencing some type of upheaval or shift or dramatic change that happens around the 8th, okay, when this full moon is coming into effect. And it is a little dicey. We do have an exact conjunction to Uranus, a square to Saturn. We'll talk about it, but this could really, really be bringing some things to a head in some very tense ways. However, as we head towards our new moon in Sagittarius, that's going to be happening on the 23rd of October, this is going to change the vibes completely. And this is actually a pretty beautiful and positive new moon cycle that we are entering. Our new moon in Sagittarius cycle should be a radical shift, a radical switch from what we have experienced throughout the month of October and our new moon in Scorpio cycle. So you guys, as we are going through this month, as we are transversing through the first couple weeks, it is very important that we do not lose faith and that we do not surrender our power. Universal guidance, as we are navigating these more upside down and difficult periods over the course of this first couple of weeks, is talking about self-discipline, self-control, staying on task, staying focused, staying aligned with our personal sense of self-empowerment, and not allowing our view of our own personal power to be distorted by a lot of the things that are playing out around us. So you guys, all that being said, let's get into this energy now. Let's break down this month. Let's look at these weeks, talk about the overall themes and what our cycles are pulling towards as we head through the month of November. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. My name is Aubrey, and this is my astrological outlook for our month of November. That was an excessively long intro intro. Actually, as I was doing it, I wasn't even sure if I was going to make it an intro or not, but I decided to go with it. So let's start now and let's break down these weeks. First of all, I want to talk about the themes that we have coming in. First things first, like I said, I feel like ultimately a lot of this is really boiling down to learning to trust ourselves, learning to have a greater sense of faith and trust in the divine, and also reinstilling a sense of self-empowerment. And I feel like this is happening actually through the switch that happens throughout the course of this month. Like I said, first of all, the beginning of the month is very turbulent. It's very tense. It's very perhaps crisis oriented. Like there could be a lot of things building to a head, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of unexpected, a lot of shocks, a lot of like eruptions and disruptions to our plans and what we have going on or what we think we have going on. A lot of awakening perhaps to some very real truths of things that we haven't been seeing that have been having a major impact in our relationships or our finances. This is some big, perhaps revelations, some big shakeups, some big shocks or surprises, just unexpected things happening generally. There's really no way to pin down this first couple weeks and also what may be exposed to us with our full moon that we have coming up in the sign of Taurus. It's a very dynamic, high-strung type of energy that we are dealing with, and staying grounded is really going to help us as we go through this period of time. But the reason why I feel like this cycle has a lot to do with teaching us about trust and faith and self-empowerment is because I feel like we may be going through some experiences in the beginning of the month that really shake our faith, that really shake our trust, that really shake our sense of self-empowerment, and maybe leave us with a lot of questions about things. But the energy that's coming in, the wave that is coming in following that, I feel like is going to in some way show us something or translate into something that totally reinvigorates our faith or our ability to place trust in ourselves. It's like in the beginning of the month, it's like something that we thought was happening or something that we were thinking is true or something that we were expecting and anticipating just sort of doesn't go that way at all, and it seems like everything is falling apart or something. But then it's like by the time we get through the end of the month, something else happens that actually reinforces what we thought was originally happening. And not only does what we thought originally was going to happen happens, but it happens in a better way than we can imagine. And as a result of that, no longer is our faith shaken. It's actually reinforced because we realize that we were originally right and we shouldn't have been doubting ourselves anyways. And it's like, I'll never doubt again. You know, like that's sort of the feel on a vibrational level as a result of the transits playing out that I feel like is sort of coming through for us. But to begin this month, you guys, some type of big upset or dramatic shift in something is likely to be affecting all of us on some level. And whatever this is that is playing out, it is likely to be moving us away from the past and towards a more positive outlook on the future. However, again, as this is happening, we are likely to feel like it is not going in a good direction, like we are not getting what we want, like we are not happy with the outcome. Quite the contrary, actually. This may be very upsetting. This may, especially on an emotional level, this could be very upsetting, or it could really be awakening us to something on an emotional level that causes us to do something that creates some type of upset, or that just really changes things, really shifts things, or really surprises us in one way or another. It doesn't have to be negative. This does not have to be a negative experience. It could just be a profound awakening to something, or Uranus also puts things right, okay? So whatever is playing out, and that's another thing that I need to say, whenever we have Uranus in effect and Uranus is playing out, whatever is going on in this dynamic is for the purpose of putting things right somehow. This first couple weeks could also be heavily bringing up things that have been working themselves out or shifting or rearranging over the past year and a half. This is an exact activation of Uranus square Saturn that we are building into for our full moon in the sign of Taurus, as the moon will be an exact conjunction to Uranus and an exact square to Saturn. Saturn square Uranus has been one of the fundamental breakthrough energies that has been working to realign our reality in a way that opens us and ushers in us into the age of Aquarius. It has been working to radically break down and rearrange the structures of the past in order to actually free us to align with our authentic growth, our authentic potential, activate our destiny, and go through this collective process of self-actualization in which humanity is actually consciously awakening to the truth of our power and the truth of our potential. And this cycle, I feel like, is playing right into that for, various reasons. First of all, this full moon that we will talk about, but also learning to trust. It's like we're learning to believe in miracles again throughout the course of this cycle. And I do feel like that's beautiful. And honestly, I am feeling very positive and very optimistic about the way this month closes out, about where it's taking us, where we're going, and the renewed sense of faith, trust, hope, optimism, both in ourselves and in the divine, the path ahead, the plan as this month unfolds. But definitely something big and dramatic could be incoming that moves us out of the past, moves us away from past cycles. This is also, remember, we are in a karmic detox cycle. It's all about breaking generational patterns, breaking generational karma, detaching ourselves from that which has been stealing our power, or that we've been surrendering our power to as out of a lack of recognition of the worth within us. This is all about helping us to recognize the truth of our value, the truth of our potential, the resources that we hold within, and what we can actually do when we embrace them and cultivate them, and how we can utilize them to actually create something for ourselves that helps us feel more purposeful, more fulfilled, more alive in our own reality, more a part of our own world, more a captain of our own ship. We are taking back control of our individual lives, of our individual world, as we head through this 2022 year and into the age of Aquarius and this cycle. We are detaching from the past and we are taking back our power through a renewed sense of faith and trust, like I said, in a lot of ways. Financial and relationship upheaval leading, though, to some type of truth or some type of blessing. And we cannot disregard what is coming, what is pending when we perhaps are going through these more difficult scenarios as they're playing out. Very destined period of time, you guys. Very orchestrated by the divine, severing ties, but also bringing a fresh hope. We are in the middle of eclipse season, you guys. This is the nodes of the moon, destiny and karma. This is their time to shine. This is their phase to reign, okay? Things are unfolding according to a very strategic and specific and well orchestrated plan right now. And our job really is to surrender to the flow of what is unfolding right now. And when we we come to a point where we're feeling like it's time to detach ourselves from something or to move away from something, or if we feel like we've come to the completion of a cycle or the end of an era, it's probably because that's true, and it is really time for us to detach ourselves from perhaps what has been limiting or stifling our growth and move forward in a new path that can help us go through this process of self-actualization, activate our destiny, and come into much greater sense of self-empowerment and faith and trust and belief in ourselves. These themes that I feel like this November month is moving us towards. Energy shifts dramatically, though, as I said, halfway through this month, and we might feel like the world is over, the ground is crumbling under our feet during these first 2 weeks, especially following this full moon that is happening on the 8th, and as we are moving into about the 13th. But by the time that we get to the 13th, this is when we start pulling in on this energy that is going to start changing things for the better, start uplifting us, helping us to see things from a more positive perspective, and genuinely facilitating some positive growth along the lines of relationships and finances, which are the exact areas. Well, also, these Taurus themes, this full moon, this is resources, supply chains, economies, financial markets. There could be some major macrocosm stuff playing out, you guys. This first 2 weeks, specifically the second week of the month of November, having to do with resources, finances, economies, global geopolitical, financial stuff, generally big time shakeups, upheavals. We could also see the cryptocurrency market start showing some signs of improvement come this third week in the month of November. So I want to say that as well before I forget. However, self-discipline, like I said, self-discipline, self-control are very crucial this cycle. And this is not the time for forward movement, you guys. This is not the time for launching out on new ventures. This is not the time for, really starting something new. This is a period of time where we are sort of looking at the state of what we've created in our lives right now and reassessing if this is if this is the direction that we want to continue to put our action and energy into, or if we need to readjust or redo or rework some things here or there to make what we've created in our lives with our energy. Mars retrograde in the sign of Gemini is also about ideas and what we're learning and what we're understanding. What have we learned over this past several months, over this Mercury retrograde cycle? And how is that changing what we want to put our energy into going forward? Mars retrograde in Gemini is about making adjustments to that which we've created up until this point of time, and also our actions and our behaviors. This energy is having us perhaps reevaluating how we're thinking about things, and therefore how we're acting, how we're behaving, how we're engaging, how we're asserting ourselves generally. And again, this makes sense to me in the context of what the overall message I'm picking up on is for this cycle, which is about learning to trust ourselves, learning to have faith in ourselves, and coming back to the state of self-empowerment. This Mars in Gemini retrograde energy, reconsidering what we've been thinking and how it's been impacting what we're doing. So we're learning a lot over this period of time, which also makes sense because we're heading into Sagittarius energy. We're heading into Sagittarius, the Sagittarius cycle, which is about truth, and it is about an expanded perception into things. And with Mars in Gemini, that means that as we are going through Sagittarius energy, the planets transiting the sign of Sagittarius are going to be coming into an opposition with Mars. And that is actually how we are going to close our month once we get to the fourth week of the month of November. Mercury and the planets and Venus, there will be a T-square that's setting up in the sky between Mercury and Venus, and also the sun moving in that direction, forming an opposition to Mars and Gemini, and a square to Neptune in the sign of Pisces. This is really going to be having us wanting an expansion of the information that we have access to. We're really going to be wanting to see the whole picture, the whole truth about things, looking to extract truth from illusion. That is something that is coming as we get to the end of this month. However, as we are moving throughout the course of this month, we have to remember we still are in Mars square Neptune territory as well. We are going to be having our second exact hit of Mars square Neptune throughout the course of this month. We just don't want to be launching forth and taking action right now. So this is definitely a time to be more we're turning our energy inward with this Mars retrograde, self-analytical, really delving deep into our own psyche, into how we think about things, and again, how that translates into action. This is us reconsidering who we want to be. It's this Mars energy, right? Mars rules Aries. Aries is about the self. It's about our personal presence in the world. This is us through a significant change in the way that we are thinking about things, really reconsidering our own personal presence, how we interact with the world, and how we use our energy to create in terms of our actions and our behaviors and our passions and our motivations moving forward. And again, this is honestly has a lot to do also with us really dissolving some illusions that we may have been in regarding our own selves and our own personal capabilities and our own personal potencies and our creative ability with Mars squaring Neptune. And this is a lesson that we are going to be working with throughout the course of this entire winter, and as we are heading into the spring of 2023, throughout essentially the whole transit of Mars through the sign of Gemini. But we need it right now because we are coming back to a place of personal power, self-awareness, self-understanding, this conscious awakening, all of these themes of this transition into the age of Aquarius that is so heavy hitting right now as we are in such a critical part of that collective transformation that we are going through. Ultimately, I feel like this cycle is helping us to release any lack of trust in God or the divine. Like I said, I feel like the sculptor's vision is coming into form. There is definitely a level of divine intervention, I feel like, that is playing out throughout the course of this cycle, and we need to be focused on our goals, our personal confidence, and our self-empowerment, and not allow what seems like it's upside down in our world or not fair or not balanced to shake our faith as we go through this period of time. So that being said, now let's go into the weeks and break them down. Week number 1, this is going to be the 1st through the 7th all about South Node activations, you guys. The first week of November, we have Venus conjuncting the South Node. We have the Sun conjuncting the South Node. We have Mercury conjuncting the South Node. We are also going to be having Venus forming an opposition to Uranus exact and a square to Saturn exact. And Uranus is also going to be retrograding back to 17 degrees of Taurus the day before our full moon. So the day before the full moon, Uranus is changing degrees in order so that he'll be in exact conjunction to the moon for the full moon, which I find to be very synchronistic and ironic because Uranus, especially, you know, retrograde and where we got going on, it takes literally like weeks to change degrees, you know, sometimes even like months or a month, you know, and just in time, the day before we have this full moon going on in the sign of Taurus, where Uranus happens to be, Uranus moves back a degree, makes the move so that he will be in exact conjunction to the new moon. So in terms of the first week of November, the 2nd, the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th, these are our real highlight days. Now, I said this is a week that is characterized by the South Node. Now, if you guys remember, we just completed on I believe it was the 25th of October, we had a South Node eclipse. That was our new moon in Scorpio, aligned in the sign of Scorpio where the South Node is, and this was in a conjunction to Venus. But the South Node, this is all about release. This is all about endings. This is about breaking cycles. This is about detaching from things in the sign of Scorpio that have been stealing our power, that have been toxic or unhealthy to us in any type of way, or that have been stifling or not supporting our process of recognizing the truth of our value and our potential and going through this process of growth that is represented by Taurus. Venus, the ruler of Taurus, was eclipsed during this cycle. So a lot of relationship and financial issues could have been sort of bubbling under the surface of things or coming to the forefront as we are really searching for the deep truth of what it is that we love and what it is that we value as this new moon in Scorpio cycle plays out. Well, that South Node theme is very, very relevant as we are moving through the first week of November, because we are going to have Venus, we are going to have the Sun, and we are going to have Mercury all coming into the exact alignment with the South Node. Now, the South Node, like I said, this is the release, this is the past, this is the detachment, this is the karmic detox that we're dealing with. And we are in this eclipse window right now, this new moon, which really essentially new moons are a brand new cycle and a fresh start, a new beginning, but it's a new beginning in relation to endings. It's like a new beginning where we are detaching from that which no longer is promoting our ability to go through this process of growth and self-actualization. And this is very, very much being activated this first week of November. A lot of these endings are going to be coming to fruition this first week of November. It is all about this karmic detox. It is all about these breaking cycles. It is all about this detachment and this walking away from things, faded endings to the extreme we have coming through in this first week of November. We are letting go, moving on from, and detoxing what is not healthy for us, what is not working for us, what has been holding us down or holding us back out of our system this first week. Major changes, shocks, upsets, shakeups with love and money could be going on this week as we're having Venus come into the conjunction with Uranus. Now remember, Venus was eclipsed in our new moon cycle on the 25th, and now she's coming into the conjunction with Uranus. This is probably this is big, you guys. This is going to have an impact on relationships, finances, partnerships, money situation, love situations, things that have been unfair. This is big. This is also going to be impacting, like I said, this Uranus-Saturn square that we've had present since February of 2021. Some aspect of our heart is going to be involved in whatever is coming up or has been coming up or has been trying to rearrange itself or has been trying to right itself or has been trying to break through something in one way or another. Big shakeups this first week of November. That's all I can say. I can't even specify more than that because we're talking about Uranus, which rules the unexpected. There's no way to make a prediction when it comes to this Uranus energy. All I can say is we're talking about the planet Venus, which is that same planet that has been eclipsed. This is fated endings in relationships, in financial situations, in things that have been keeping us from seeing the truth of our value or the truth of our potential, or have been holding us back from embracing our value and developing our potential. But anxiety and nervous tension are likely to be very, very high. This is a very high strung energy. We might feel like just really nervous. We might just have this sense that like something is coming, but we can't put our finger on it. This is like, we might feel like just very sort of like hyped up, but unable to like relax and not really sure of what is motivating it. There just is likely to be a general sense that something is coming, honestly, as we are going through this first week of November. And with the Venus-Uranus opposition, remember also this is big because Venus is the ruler of Taurus, where Uranus is right now. So she's actually opposing Uranus from her own sign while we're in a cycle where Venus is eclipsed. This is not maintaining the same level of peace, harmony, balance. Things are likely to get yanked like totally off the rails some way over this first couple weeks. I don't know. Things are building to a head for sure and about to hit a breakthrough moment. That's what I can tell you. That's what I know, you guys, about what is likely to come with this energy. And of course, wherever Uranus is located in your chart, wherever Venus is located, if you're looking at the polarities, like these are the houses, the areas of life that are likely to be impacted by whatever is playing out as this energy unfolds. Anyways, though, that's what we are looking at this first week of November. I feel like it is all about fated endings, letting things go and coming to a point where we have either awoken to something on such a deep level in our heart that we can finally release ourselves from maybe things that we had been in some type of an illusion about. But either way, this first week of November has a lot to do with taking out the trash, with releasing ourselves from things that haven't been serving us, and some type of an awakening or a realignment having to do with our heart, love, money in one way or another. Week 2, you guys. Week 2 starts out with this big bang. We begin the week on the 8th of November with this huge full moon in Taurus that is in a conjunction with Uranus. Also, it's not only that it's just in this conjunction with Uranus, the sun in the opposition to the moon and Uranus will also be in a conjunction with Mercury. Mercury will be combust, and of course it will also be in a square to Saturn because Uranus-Saturn, this like ongoing square. And on the day of the full moon, we're also going to be having the Mercury-Sun cazimi. Now, they are not exactly cazimi. They are not at the exact to the minute degree conjunction for the moment of the full moon. However, this will be happening just a few hours after our full moon when we are very much still in our full moon energy. So the 8th, you guys, is likely to be very revealing. Not only do we have a full moon, which is about revelations and awakening conjunct Uranus in perhaps some very shocking or unexpected ways in the realms of resources, money, love, finance, value, self-worth, these things as well. Full moons expose things. This is shining the full light. This is all the illumination. And also Mercury Sun cazimi. This is also the illumination. This is also the full light. This is also seeing the truth about something. And it's deep. It's going to be deep because we're talking about the sign of Scorpio. It's going to be deep. It's going to be powerful. It's going to be profound. It's going to be about what has been hidden in the darkness. So there could be some major revelations, you guys, major revelations coming through on the 8th that blow our freaking mind in one way or another. I don't think anybody's going to be escaping from this in one way or another. And again, it doesn't have to be like a terrible thing. Like this could be actually maybe something really good. Maybe there's been some difficult stuff playing out over the course of the past year and a half because of this Saturn-Uranus square. And this comes through and really opens our eyes to something, awakens us in some type of way, or pushes things forward in a way that actually brings it to a resolution in a positive way somehow. But remember, the way that things appear to be going for this full moon are not the way that they are going to look by the time that we get to the end of the month. So we cannot lose perspective of what is to come just because of what we may be perceiving as this energy unfolds. This is crisis energy, you guys. This is for sure crisis energy. I'm not going to not say that. But somehow it is leading somewhere that is somehow going to be better by the time that we get to the end of the month. So we are not losing hope. This is divine intervention. This is teaching us that miracles are real. So we're going to continue having our faith. So something big and something unexpected is very likely to come with this full moon that we have playing out. Fated, destined events for sure. We're talking about an eclipse. Now remember, this is not just a full moon. This is also a full moon, total lunar eclipse. I believe it's a blood moon, full moon lunar eclipse. So we'll definitely be talking more about this, but very, very, very fated, destined situations that we have going on right now, and very unexpected shock, surprises, money, resources, relationships. These are the themes. Issues and conflict, resistance from or with authority, duty, responsibility could also really be playing into our second week in November. This is because not only do we have this big full moon lunar eclipse that I shouldn't neglect to say, but we also are going to be having these planets now in the late degrees of Scorpio moving into a square with Saturn, okay? On the 9th, we have Mercury forming the exact square to Saturn. On the 10th, we have the Sun forming the exact square to Saturn. And this can definitely bring a sense of discouragement, depression, lacking self-confidence, feeling low, feeling out of control, feeling like the challenges in front of us are so great that we can't possibly overcome them, or, like maybe we should just give up, and just not feeling that sense of faith and trust in a lot of things, and feeling very restricted or very held back or very just like we can't trust ourselves possibly. And again, I feel like whatever is coming through in these first couple of weeks is bringing up this sense of maybe like fear about our ability to do what needs to be done. But the energy that's coming through as we move towards the end of the month will be reinforcing our confidence, our faith, our trust, and belief in our ability to move forward, to be effective, to be successful. So whatever we're dealing with in this week 2 with these Saturn squares and this big full moon energy, it's not going to stick around, you guys. So we don't want to get overly attached to it. Week 3, let's move on and talk about week 3, because this is when energy starts to shift. Personally, I believe it's going to start shifting on the 13th. And this is because, you guys, Jupiter, the planet of expansion, trust, hope, faith, and belief, begins to enter the game in a much bigger way. Starting on the 13th, we're going to have Venus begin to move into a trine with Jupiter. Jupiter has recently retrograded out of Aries and back into the sign of Pisces, retrograde right now as well, which really actually is about helping us to gain a greater sense of internalized faith, trust, belief, connection to the divine. This is actually really providing some strong spiritual support as we go through this period of time, which again is a crucial part of what I feel like this month is trying to teach us. But because Jupiter is now in the end of Pisces, which is a water sign, and we have all these personal planets beginning to transit the end of Scorpio, which is another water sign, we're about to have this last 2 weeks of November, you guys, Mercury, Venus, and the Sun all forming a trine to Jupiter. Trines are positive, facilitating, assisting aspects where things are falling into place. Jupiter expands things. Jupiter brings blessings. Jupiter brings faith and trust and hope and optimism and confidence and truth. Jupiter also brings truth. And these are happening in the sign of Scorpio, right? In the sign of Pisces. So this is some really deep spiritual truths. This is some dispelling of illusions too. This is getting to the root of things through dispelling actually some illusions on a bigger level. But this is also going to be bringing an expanded viewpoint, positive, beneficial things happening in the realms of love and money, and generally a sense of upliftment. This is facilitating our ability to, first of all, process some of the emotions that we've been going through in a way that is shifting our mindset to help us actually attract and experience much more positive dynamic of whatever's been playing out. So, starting on the 13th, Venus is the first planet that begins to move into this trine. On the 14th, we're going to have Venus in the exact trine to Jupiter, and then we are going to be having Venus, Mercury switching into Sagittarius. We are coming out of the depths of Scorpio, coming out of the underworld, and we are heading into the Sagittarius energy, which is an expansion of our mind, an expansion expansion of our heart. This is, really wanting some like big love and the truth as well. This is wanting to see the truth, and this is wanting to align with what we have truly in our heart. This is the truth of our heart, the truth of our mind, and in a very expansive way, wanting to align with it. We're not digging anymore. We're not looking for the problem. We're not like getting to the core of it. It's like we've done that, like we've discovered it. And this Jupiter trine is helping us to heal and process these deep emotions in alignment with these truths of our heart that we've discovered. But now we're expanding into it. Like we're actually inflating and like expanding like a balloon, like into our new truths that we have discovered over the course of this past couple of lunar cycles. We're also going to be having the sun come into an exact trine with Jupiter on the 20th. Now, on this third week, we do have these beautiful trines going on in these water signs between these personal planets and Jupiter, which is really doing a lot to bring us back into some much more positive emotions than perhaps we've been dealing with. But this is also the week that we do have Mars and Neptune coming to their exact square, their second exact square. So things are beginning to shift this week and looking much better as we start the third week, feeling much more optimistic, much more hopeful, much more positive, huge vibe shifts. We've got planets moving into Sagittarius out of Scorpio the third week, and very positive for love and money and truth in relationships and financial matters coming through this third week, gaining positive insights. Although, as I just got done mentioning, we do have the Mars squaring Neptune exact. We want to be very cautious with taking action. And that is a big word of caution. That is a big red flag about our week 3 of November energy, because we may be feeling so much better, so much more alive, so much more positive, so much more embracing of whatever's gone on, and seeing, like I said, like expanding into these truths and starting to embody these truths that we have really been getting to the root of over this course of this past, period of time. But we want to be careful that we're not like going overboard, that we're not allowing these Jupiter trines, because Jupiter is the biggest planet. It can have a tendency to like overdo it or overblow things or take things over the top or like over exaggerate. So we want to be careful that we are not feeling so inflated or so filled up with, these positive feelings and stuff over this period of time that we're sort of disregarding a sense of caution in terms of what we're doing and how we're acting, because we really, need to keep in mind, yes, there may be some massive truth bombs that are coming through and that have come through over this first couple of weeks, but that doesn't mean that we should recklessly just charge in and take action in some type of way. This is still a period of time where we really need to be redoing things, recreating, reworking, re-strategizing, rethinking a lot about what we got going on. This is making adjustments. This is not the time to be launching out on these new endeavors or pioneering a new path forward. This is the time to really, and honestly, this Mars retrograde has a lot to do with healing as well. This is an internalized energy that is very useful to really heal some of our imbalances that may have been going on within our own mind or within our own psyche, or again, it makes sense in the context of this month, which I feel like is about learning to trust ourselves. I feel like we are going through this process. We are really questioning a lot of things from the inside, why we do what we do, what makes us act the way that we act, getting sort of down to the core of that. Because if you guys remember, when Mars stationed to go retrograde, we also had Mercury that day ruling the position of Mars moving into Scorpio. And so that was telling me that this Mars retrograde cycle ultimately has a lot to do with like really gaining some deep insight into our own reasons for acting, into our own reasons for behaving, into our own reasons for doing, and learning about ourselves on some very deep levels. And this process helping us to reconfigure how we show up in the world, essentially. I feel like that's what this Mars retrograde in the sign of Gemini is ultimately doing. And that also makes sense in the context of these squares to Neptune, where we are having to come up against our own personal illusions and our own ego issues and really dispelling a lot of the fantasies or ideals or illusions that our ego has been telling us, so that we can get down to this real core truth of who we are and what our purpose is and how we can act in a way that is more conducive to this process of self-actualization that we're going on right now. We are learning how to use our energy in more responsible, more effective, and smarter ways generally with this happening in the sign of Gemini. For this third week in November, we really do want to make sure that we are not just sort of flying off the handle with things and letting anything, like going in any direction, because we're feeling so much better about whatever may be playing out or transpiring. Now let's talk about week 4, you guys. Week 4 is hosting our new moon in Sagittarius, which is going to be happening on the 23rd of November. This is a beautiful new moon, you guys. This is a new moon in Sagittarius, so it's ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter rules Sagittarius, and you know what is also happening on the day of our new moon in Sagittarius? Magically, bing, 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 Jupiter is stationing to go direct in the sky, you guys. So this new moon, not only is it a new moon in Sagittarius, which is about expansion, which is about truth, which is ruled by Jupiter, but Jupiter is going to be the most powerful planet in the sky for this new moon, and Jupiter's ruling this cycle because it's going to be stationing to go direct, and when a planet stations, its energy is magnified tremendously. Not only that, the new moon is happening at 2 degrees of Sagittarius. Jupiter right now is, for the new moon, will be at, I believe, 28 degrees of Pisces. Now, if we think about this, 2 degrees of Sagittarius, yes, this is a fire sign, but think about where Jupiter is. 28 degrees of Pisces. If we go 29 Pisces, the next thing we do, or 30 Pisces, the next thing we do is go to 1 degree of Aries. So really, even though Jupiter is in the sign of Pisces, which is a water sign, because Jupiter is so close to the end of Pisces, actually this new moon in Sag, which is ruled by Jupiter, is also forming a trine to Jupiter. So we got a triplicity of Jupiter energy, you guys, coming through for this new moon. And this is following on the heels of the week where we had the Sun and Venus forming the trine to Jupiter as well. So Jupiter ruling the day, ruling the cycle, and stationing direct in the sky. There is a huge positive divine intervention, truth bringing, blessing bringing, luck bringing, righteousness bringing, miracle bringing energy that is coming in with this new moon in Sagittarius. And I really love it. I cannot believe that of all days, the new moon in Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter in a trine to Jupiter, is the day that Jupiter stations in the sky to go direct. This is huge positive energy that is coming through. And then moving through the rest of the last week, it's honestly kind of quiet. Like, we don't have all that much big business or like critical stuff playing out. Yes, you know, we've got aspects going on every day, of course. We've got some Chiron energy coming through. We've got the opposition to Mars that we are building towards. That's probably the biggest energy that we are dealing with, aside from this Jupiter vibe this last week of November. But really, between the 23rd, we have this new moon and Jupiter stationing, and then it's pretty quiet. We have some black moon energy going on, but it's pretty quiet until we get to the 28th. On the 28th, we are going to have Mars retrograde form an exact trine to Saturn. This is also some very positive energy about bringing creative solutions that really can help us to reform things in a very productive and positive way, and solid ideas to solving problems coming through at the end of the week. And like I said, as we move into the 29th, as we move into the 30th, on the 29th, we are going to be having Mars in an exact trine to Saturn, and simultaneously Mercury ruling the position of Mars in an exact opposition to Mars. So this is really going to be bringing some big ideas, some profound truth, but in a way that actually facilitates our ability to make some progress moving forward in a solid, responsible, productive, beneficial, long-term successful way going forward. And that's it. That's what we're looking at. That's what we have going on for the month of November. The first week, we are in some very significant ending energy, faded ending energy, and perhaps some very big upheavals in the realms of love and money. As we move into the second week, something perhaps hitting us out of the blue that we weren't expecting that really rocks our world in one way or another and makes us feel very out of control or very overly controlled or just sort of depressed or discouraged or like nothing's going in our favor and things aren't working out the way that we want. But then the very next week, we have this massive energetic shift and we start moving into this Sagittarius energy and we start moving into this Jupiter energy. And as we go through the third week, this builds and builds and builds and expands and expands and expands until we get to the 23rd and our fourth week of November, where we have this new moon in Sagittarius, which is a triple threat Jupiter moon, new moon. And Jupiter is stationed in the sky. And it's just indicating some really significant reversals in terms of any of the crisis type activity that is going on over this first 2 weeks of the month of November. And then as we move through the remainder of November, this fourth week, and into the week where we're going to transition from November into December, again, big information, big truth, mind expansion in a way that actually is productive to helping us make some type of progress in one type of way or another. So over the course of this month, we are going from total calamity to perhaps total creative solutions, from feeling extremely out of control and like the world is falling apart to so blessed and like we've learned that we can truly trust ourselves and so empowered. So as we go through this month of November, you guys, especially the first 2 weeks, especially, around the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, we can't let what's happening on the ground get the better of us. This process, I feel like I've said from the beginning, these themes that I feel like, are coming up this cycle, learning trust and self-empowerment through universe showing us that we always could have trusted all along, okay? Big upsets, dramatic shifts, detaching from past cycles, profound awakening, major upheavals, financial, romantic realms, partnerships, stuff like that, economies, resources, y'all, on the collective world stage, we could see some real fireworks playing out over the course of this cycle. Things could get messy. Especially, like I said, resources, supply chains, economies, financial markets, all that type of stuff. Something could really, I don't know, but that is really what's being indicated. Major transition of power, major shifts on geopolitical levels could also be indicated, and some big time fears. We've got Black Moon energy also going on this month, of course. We will have Black Moon in effect twice over the course of this month. One of the weeks where we have Black Moon in effect is that second week following the full moon, as we are anticipating or unable to see at this point in time how things are going to shift. So yeah, the second week could be a doozy, you guys. We could really be feeling it, but don't lose hope because there is going to be some type of major shift. Upheaval ultimately somehow leading to truth and what turns out to be a blessing. But we are talking about Uranus, which does bring blessings in disguise, which is our silver lining planet. Very destined period of time right now. Very fated energy. We shouldn't work against it. We should surrender to the changes that are happening now. We are in a South Node cycle about surrender, release, detachment, and breaking karmic cycles. Anywhere where we are fighting against the flow is going to make our path more difficult. We might feel like the world is over, like I said, but it's not. And the end of this month will show us actually how much we can trust ourselves, how much we can trust God, how much we can trust ourselves. And as a result of that, why we actually are in a much greater state of self-empowerment than perhaps we were to start this month because of what we've realized, what we've learned as a result of whatever circumstances are playing out. So you guys, that is what I have to say for our November overview. This is a big, big, big cycle. I'm sort of holding my breath a little bit to see what comes with this full moon that we have playing out. And also this Venus Uranus opposition. The Sun-Uranus opposition should be big, but we are heading in a good direction, and I am very optimistic about what this new moon in Sagittarius could be doing for us to actually help us get back on track, feel more positive about things, and actually start making some progress towards solutions or things, redoing things with this Mars retrograde energy in a way that is like genuinely creating solutions or laying foundations that are an authentic reflection of what they need to be right now for us to go through this process of self-actualization, go through this personal like internal transmutation, alchemization that we are being called to right now as universe is calling us to activate our destiny, step into our truth, turn on our potential, and start living the life that God put us here to live. So that's what we've got going on, you guys. Welcome to November. I hope you guys liked it. I hope that I was able to clearly break things down for you, and let's go through this month and see how it goes, you guys. Of course, I will be here with you navigating on a daily basis as this energy unfolds, but this is what we're looking at in summary. So that's what I have to say. If you guys like this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, you guys, if you think they would like this too. I have a Facebook page, a Facebook group, a website, and some other socials. Those are in my description box below. And come back with me tomorrow, you guys. We are kicking things off, and we are going to be getting right into this November energy. So I will be here. You should be here too. You don't want to miss it. And I will see you then, guys. Have a beautiful day. And until next time, bye, everyone.